Conversations.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Strong Conversations. And per usual, I am your host, Dr. Carolyn Strong. And as you all know, I like to keep our conversations short and succinct. So I usually like to just jump into things. Today, we are talking about mentoring. And because it's me, we're talking about mentoring through a Black girl lens. So I have a very special guest today that I am excited to, I believe in allowing people to introduce themselves. So I am going to pass the mic. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers. There you go. Technical difficulty, but it's okay.
It's okay. I am Asha Ntim. I am the founder and a director of the Chrysalis program and the author of the Dark Brown Girl collection, which is a book series celebrating Black youth. The Chrysalis program is a mentoring program that teaches leadership, life skill, and self-confidence to African American girls, starting here on the south side of Chicago.
So specifically about mentoring, it's one of those things. I am older than you. So for me, it was one of those things where it was really big in the 80s. It was this program and that program, and every profession had some sort of junior thing. I remember being in elementary school and we had Kid Witness News where we had mentors from like ABC and NBC that would come and introduce us to these news fields. And then you had the different one for radio and all of these fields. Everybody was mentoring everybody. Now, I don't know, I can't say how effective it was, but I will say that probably somewhere around the mid 90s, it just of course, their Big Brother, Big Sister has been consistent throughout. But in terms of these more specific, almost affinity mentoring programs, if you will, they kind of fell off. And then there was a resurgence. And as someone that's been a part of that resurgence, why do you think that happened?
I don't know about the fall off. Well, I am who I am because of people kind of pouring into me, and not in a like an organized mentoring setup, but maybe like the Upward Bound program, which it wasn't meant to be like a mentoring program, but the women in that space made space for me. And so I was like an invisible child that nobody saw. I was very quiet, and somebody just decided, we're going to put you in position to feel good about yourself, to tell you that you're something special. And I didn't believe it at first, and eventually I feel like the influence of those women and other people who came into my life at different times shaped me. So it was less of like an organized mentoring program and more of like being seen and being heard and being understood, and then being like hoisted up by other Black women.
And I think that what you're describing is kind of a lot of people's experience, where certain people informally took it upon themselves to love on you, or they saw whatever the reason was, they saw you or themselves in you, whatever it was, they decided that they were going to be your person.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us had those experiences, but I think now we're seeing, again, more formalized experiences. And my dissertation specifically was on Black girls and creating and being mindful and purposeful in creating Black girl-centric spaces. So one of the things I did, and I don't know if you remember this because I did hound you a bit, like, please fill out my survey.
Yes.
And I did end up getting 100 people to fill out my survey, just about why they have these groups and why they're mentoring. And I don't have the research in front of me, and trust me, I pushed a lot of that out of my head once it was done. But I would say probably about 65 to 70% of them said when they were doing their small groups or their programs, they were trying to create the program that they wish they had.
Yes.
And I found that was a common theme. Like, yes, I had people in my life. Yes, I had people that cared about me. Yes, I had people that loved on me. But when I was in a position to do so, I wanted to create a safe space. Because there's safe people and then there's safe spaces. And isn't it great to have both?
Yes.
And for a lot of Black girls, I don't think they get both. And some don't get either one.
Yeah, it's true.
So, tell me about Chrysalis's journey, because I know you're in a restructuring phase, but how did it start? Why did it start? Where did it start?
It's been a very slow moving, step-by-step evolution. It started with just me being a housewife and a mom of a dark brown girl, and me writing a book for her because there were people who said, "Oh my gosh, she's so dark," and I was just like, "What is that even?" What? Like, I grew up with colorism. I know exactly what it is. I know what it feels like. It was just like definitely a divide in my family that I felt that certain people who were lighter skinned got different treatment than like the darker skinned grandchildren. And so I did feel that. And my parents would try to like troubleshoot that and try to be like, well, you are beautiful and you're this. And then, but then after a certain point, I just stopped believing that I was. And so when I was an adult, I just thought this is no longer a thing until I had my oldest daughter and she came out. My husband is Ghanaian. So like my babies are going to be chocolate. It's just a thing. And so I didn't think anything about it until someone mentioned it. And I thought, well, I don't want anybody to come to her and say in grammar school or at any point in her life and say anything about her skin complexion. I wanted her to be secure in who she was. And so I wrote a book series for her and of course my other daughters, and to like explain to them, you are incredible just the way you are. And so that was the book series. I shared it online, and then the response was really a lot more than I expected. And so it was a lot of moms who were saying that their daughters were struggling with self-esteem just because of skin complexion and hair texture. And I was just like, this is bigger than like selling a book. We should probably come together. So what it ended up being was more like a support group for like moms and like place where like the safe space where girls can come and be exactly who they are, and then like learn some leadership skills, learn some life skills, say your affirmations every time we're here, when we're just like pouring love on them and letting them know you are amazing, you're this, you're that, and pushing them forward in that self-confidence walk. So I started out in 2016 when we decided we're just going to launch this organization. And I thought it was going to be like maybe like 15 girls, and it ended up being like 60. I was like, I'm not prepared for this many people. But we continued to like feed them. It was just like Jesus with the fish and the bread. We were just like, everybody's bringing something and we eating every time we meet, and we're teaching and loving on these girls. And so like 6 years later, we're still going. The pandemic kind of, changed the dynamic of how we do it, but we're still meeting virtually. We are able to reach girls across the world now, just having a different platform. So that has been our interesting journey of ups and downs and arounds to getting to where we are now. Now we're just today deeded a plot of land for us to build our headquarters. So yeah, it's such a great time for this program. We are growing, and it is becoming less of like just a passion project and it being like an actual operating business, which I'm really proud of. So
and that's exciting. That is very exciting, because I know that's been at the top of your list for a while. So I am very happy that you get to
Oh my God,
Get
girl!
to cross it
Like,
off.
just imagine, like every time we were meeting in like different free spaces, churches, libraries, park districts. So we would like, I'm putting up banners and signs. And I'm like, I'm a Virgo, so I'm just very extra. So
So extra. Okay.
yes. So I'm like, I'm decorating with paper flowers, like, and I'm putting all of this up just to break it all down in 3 hours.
See,
I'm up at 5
meanwhile,
a.m.
meanwhile, the Aquarius in me would have been like, it's over there.
You're
You
like,
see where that group of people is? Follow them.
we're not doing none of that. I was so like fixated on like, I want them to have the best of the best. I'd be at the grocery store at 5 a.m. and cooking and serving and like doing all of this stuff. And so I just feel like it's just been a very divinely ordered situation. So I'm removing myself from just like being in the trenches and being all things to all people in the Chrysalis program, and just like being in the role as the executive director to like make sure that we have a sustainable program to go on even if I'm not here. So that's where we are now.
I mean, that's an amazing place to be, because not many people move from the what if phase of projects, especially projects that have to do with little dark girls. And that was what drew me to your program in the first place, because as a little dark girl, and I don't even remember, I've said this so many times on so many different spaces that even to this day, I think that even after all I've done, even after everything that I've accomplished and managed to do in my life, if you were to ask my mother, my greatest achievement would be giving birth to light-skinned babies.
Wow.
And I got a whole doctorate.
Wow.
Now, she would never say that.
Yeah.
But she would never, and I mean, I love my mom, and my mom has been gone 10 years, and yesterday was her birthday, and all of that stuff. But I honestly believe that, and that doesn't mean that she wasn't proud of my achievements outside of that, but just knowing the things that she placed value on.
Wow.
I think that if someone had ever truly forced her to answer and forced her to really be honest,
wow,
that would have been my greatest achievement. was lightening up the bloodline, and it wasn't even on purpose.
It's just like, I feel like it's not even, I get it, like it's what they were taught and what they knew. Both, I mean, that was that generation. I feel like my grandparents on both sides were like that. Like,
and I think even for her, it was really complicated, because I don't think that she was doing it necessarily because it was what she preferred. I think that she didn't want me to have a hard time in this world. And she knows what the world preferred, because all of my academics were pushed by her. And I really think that in the back of her mind, she was like, well, she dark.
Wow.
She nappy-headed. She not small. She don't have none of the stuff that
Americans value. Right.
That's going to get her places.
Wow.
That's going to get her in the door aesthetically. Wow. So I need to make sure that she has it up here. And that was always the impression that I got. And I was like, wow. The hardest thing to reconcile was that my mama is doing this because she loves me. Right. Like, and she wants me to have other tools because I'm just not cute. So
and maybe not even, maybe just like she wants you to have every opportunity. And like, and in their era, light-skinned people just had more opportunities.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what it was. And so they're like, whatever I need to do to make sure, because it was, I don't even know if this is true or like it's rumored, but my grandmother on my dad's side used to say, you eat cornstarch and you could make your babies more light skinned. So like her kids were like progressively lighter. It could be like the dads, but like they were progressively lighter. And so like the younger ones, the lighter ones were his favorite more. And my dad was like the chocolate kid. And so like he'd be like, yeah, she tied me to a chair and beat me. Like, And I'd be
Yeah.
like, wow. But like this child, they could do no wrong because their skin was glowing
Yeah.
light. And so I felt that from that grandmother all the time. And she'd be like, oh, yo, wash your dirty hands. And like all of the kids would be coming in from outside, but I was the one with dirty, like, because my skin was darker. And so I guess I just hoped that like this generation would not repeat that. And so just just the growth that I've seen even since starting this program in the Black community has been amazing, of like celebrating Black skin and
Hmm.
melanin and darkness and natural hair and nappy hair, and like that wasn't a thing when I was a kid. I never saw that, never heard that. And it was like I feel like our kids are so blessed to be able to like exist.
Be who they are.
Yes. And
Be
in
be
this
their
time.
be their authentic selves.
Yes.
Speaking of that, January 1st, here we go for progress. And I put it in big air quotes because it's a shame that we have to legislate this. But in the state of Illinois, and I'm on kind of the committee to roll this out in the state of Illinois, there is something as of January 1st called the Jet Hawkins Law.
Wow.
And basically, what that is any public funded school or institution can no longer include in dress code policies things that are steeped in anti-Blackness with regard to hair.
Wow.
Because there are some schools that tell little boys you can't wear your locks to school, and if you want to attend this program you have to cut your locks, or you can't wear cornrows, you can't wear braids, and that's in their dress code policy under grooming.
Wow.
And the state has finally recognized it for what it is, which is institutional anti-Blackness.
Yes.
And so that is allowing these children greater opportunities to be their authentic selves. And I know I've kind of gone on a tangent because that's what I do. But I will ask you this: when you first started and you were specifically dealing with the colorism piece, what types of things were these little girls sharing with you?
I would hear a lot of, they call me ugly. And so I heard that a lot. So initially, we would just kind of like say affirmations and let's just like let all the stuff out that was said to us, and let's replace it with things that are true. And these were the positive affirmations. But then, just in the programs, again, evolution, it started to be more about like the mental health and the trauma that they experience from like the things around them, like environmental things, like the neighborhoods they grow up in, the families they're born in, like girls who had been raped or like severely bullied, like physically at school. And so we kind of like, we didn't drop the colorism piece, but we started thinking like expanded. There maybe is more that we need to address outside of just this. And so we started, we had a licensed clinical social worker come in and kind of like help with the mental health piece. And that became more of the core of the program, more than the colorism piece. And so, and plus, like when we first started, it was so many questions like, can light skinned people be in this program? Because it used to be called the Dark Brown Girl program. That was the initial. They were like, this is not inclusive for like other kids. And so we ended up changing the name to the Chrysalis program, and just kind of like a place to kind of be protected and grow and transform into like this adult version of like sophistication and beauty and like confidence, as opposed to it just being like, okay, we're only dealing with this one thing.
Hmm. Well, the reality of the situation is that if you have licensed clinical social workers and mental health professionals coming in and they're addressing everything,
Yes.
then I mean the colorism piece wasn't abandoned. It
Yeah.
was just, I mean, there are other ACEs that can be explored too.
It's
I
true.
mean,
Yes.
there are all sorts of adverse childhood experiences that
Yeah.
our girls that are unique to our girls
Mm-hmm.
because of the intersection of race and gender.
Yes.
So I think that expanding it could only make the program stronger. But I know you know that.
Yes. Thank you.
So I guess my other question is, because I'm looking and we've been chatting for a while now, what services are you still open to in terms of receiving new girls for, and what services does Chrysalis currently offer?
So currently we offer Saturday session, which right now, because it's virtual, is just once a month on second Saturday. So that is mostly social emotional classes, things dealing with just again like wellness and mental health and just behavior. And then we have the group counseling sessions, which are on the fourth Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. And we have tea talk with teens for teenagers to just kind of like a safe space for them to share out anything that they're going through and kind of like have girl talk with like some mentors who can kind of moderate the conversation, but is more like student led. So that is what we're doing right now. And we're in the process of adding in life skill classes, the creative arts classes, also virtual right now. We're about to launch in person, and then those numbers started rising. So we went back to virtual. But hopefully soon we'll be back in person and able to kind of love on our girls in person and meet and eat and have our classes all because a big part of what we do is like the in-person piece. So we do the 5 love languages, the physical touch, we do the words of affirmation, the service, all of them. And so it's even though we can still serve its purpose virtually, it's just
Right.
it's a
It's a
different
different
program.
type of fellowship.
Yes, it definitely is. And so we're looking forward to coming back in person as well.
And I know folks got Zoom fatigue right now. So
Yeah, they like
that
enough
doesn't
is enough. Yeah.
that doesn't help, but at least they're still able to commune with each other in some way.
Yes, that's true. That is very true. And that counseling session, I mean, it blessed me. I I was like, this is really good therapy. Like, and
And
so,
that's the
yeah,
thing. It's like the even as an adult, you can still benefit from
yeah,
this
for sure.
because the little girl in you may or may not have ever been healed from some of this stuff
Oh my God.
because
This is what it was about.
yeah.
Carolyn, like this, so the therapist is our director of social work and therapy. She said, get a picture of yourself, of your younger self. And then she said, think about a time where you didn't feel it wasn't a good time. Like maybe you didn't feel safe or you didn't feel happy or you were disappointed. And then what affirmation would you give to your that version of you? And so we wrote them down, and she was just like, "These are what we're going to use anytime we feel that way." And so, like, she was just like, even children have still an inner child that is younger in them. So I was just like, wow, this was so deep. Like, this is very good. I really enjoyed that. And I felt like what you said was exactly, literally what we did in that session. And it was
Yeah.
groundbreaking for me. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, this is not stuff you talked about. It's just kind of stuff you dealt with. And even as an adult, it's kind of hard to navigate those spaces because we are just getting to a point societally where it's okay, particularly with black folk. Let's just keep it 100. Particularly with black folk, we're just now getting to a point where it's okay to say, this, when you did this, it hurt me,
Yes.
and not have the world blow up. Because how dare you criticize Big Mama? How
Or
dare
any
you
elder. Right.
right. How dare you criticize whoever? Because and then you get hit with the, well, they were doing the best they could.
Mm,
Nobody is taking that away from them.
it's true.
which is why I am trying to honor you and respect you, to have this conversation with you,
Right.
to just
Respectfully.
let you
Right.
know that I love you and I understand, but
Right. But this wasn't right.
right,
It's not okay.
right.
Mhm.
And that's all it is. And so I know that those conversations are very difficult because people were doing the best they can.
Yeah. And they did the best they can with what they had.
Right.
And they didn't have the tools that we have now.
No.
I definitely spent the day with my mom and was like, we need to unpack all this stuff because
Yeah.
it's just like layers and layers and layers of trauma that they experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they just are acting out of it. So they're not intentionally, maliciously trying to hurt us, but we got to do our work, and as much as we can try to encourage them to also do theirs. And so it's a rough one in the Black community with the mental health stigma and like trying to just like I don't think it's weird to say like I see a therapist every Wednesday if I don't think it's weird. It's like it literally changed my life, and I sing it on the mountaintop because I'm like, a lot of the stuff that I was taught was wrong. It was the wrong stuff. And so I don't want to then deliver that to my 3 girls.
Right.
Let me fix this. Let me correct the irrational thinking and all the things that were stacked up against me so that I can then give them a healed mommy so they can be healed girls, you know.
And in a nutshell, when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, that conversations that I've had with my oldest, because there's so much space between them that when little does something and I will correct or do something, the big one is like,
where's mommy who was here before? Like,
right, where was that parenting technique 13 years ago?
Right.
What is this gentle correction nonsense?
Right.
And it's like, when you know better, you do better. Like, what person doesn't grow and evolve in the 13 years between my children?
Wow.
If I was still doing things the same way I was doing them 13 years ago,
that'll be a problem.
It would be a problem.
Yeah.
Early 20s me versus not early 20s me are two very different people. Yeah. In terms of what I now know and the healing that I've done. So, and the healing that I've done. And I think that, we got a comment. So I'm looking at the time. I'm like, we've been chatting and the time is just going by. So tell people how they can find you if they want to put their babies in your program.
If you want to join the Chrysalis program, you will go to www.chrysalisforgirls.org, or you can email us at info@the Chrysalis program. Chrysalis is spelled CHRYSALIS. The Chrysalis program.org. Or if the website is chrysalisforgirls.org.
And I will make sure that I drop it in the chat and I drop it in the comments so everybody can find it. Are you on the Twitters? Because I can't remember.
We recently got a Twitter. I don't even know the handle. Our communications person told me.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I forgot. So
okay. Well, when we find out your Twitter handle, I will go back to the comments and I will update the comments so that people can find you and participate in this program. I almost want to invite you back just to unpack that colorism piece so much more, because we went
let's do it
down that road.
I can talk about that for days, honey. That's my
man.
Yeah.
Let's find a mental health professional and let's do it, because a lot of people have similar stories and they don't really have the space to unpack those stories and truly have a safe space to have those conversations, because whenever you push back, you know the word that comes up for us, you being ungrateful. I've done all of this for you. I sacrificed all of this for you. I did blah, blah, blah. And this is how you repay me. You tell me I am a horrible parent.
And it's not. I feel like that is how it's always received. But this is the conversation. I literally just had this conversation with my mother. Like, just because you are flawed doesn't make you a bad person. I'm not saying you're a bad person. Everybody is flawed, right? So
It
there's
makes you
good and
human.
bad and everything. So you did great things, but here's the blind spot that therapy can help you iron out, And
Right.
so I feel like I just wish that my best friend, her mom, was just saying something similar about like just the stigma of therapy. And so it's just such a blessing. I just want
Yeah.
everybody to have a therapist, to talk to somebody outside of your circle of influence and your friends and your family. Just if it's only just to like release and let
Yeah.
things out, because all of this stuff piled up on each other is not good. It's not healthy physically, emotionally, spiritually. You got to release it. And it's
You
going to
have
come
to.
out one way or another. So you don't want it to
Right.
come out on your kids. You don't
Right.
want it to come out at work. So let's release it in a healthy way and replace it with something much better. And that's
And
just my
you know where a lot of this comes from, and then I really am going to stop, and we're going to plan that colorism conversation.
okay.
A lot of this comes from Black Superwoman syndrome, where Black women, because of how we're viewed in society, we're not allowed to make mistakes. We're not allowed to have those moments of vulnerability, and that's ingrained in us
deeply from
from the
birth.
beginning.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, you better get up and wipe them tears and go handle your business.
Because the Black woman always got to do what she got to do. She always take care of business, and it's just like
exactly.
But we still need space to heal, and we still feel pain, and like I don't know.
Right.
I just recently when I had COVID in May last year, like that literally changed my life, because I realized I had been everything to everybody and not resting for years. Like I literally hadn't rested in I don't know how many years, probably since I became a mom, probably 9 years. But
and I've been in a state of sleep deprivation for 20 years.
I'm like that week in the hospital, I'm talking about, I was like, I gotta go home right now. Like, why? Like, that was the most rest that I had gotten, and it took me almost dying to get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? What was I chasing? What was I trying to prove, and to whom? Like, for what? Why am I trying to be all of these things to all of these people? And who is going to be all these things to me?
Right. And that brings us full circle back to the mentoring and fellowship piece, because it's not just children that need that. We as adults need those safe spaces also to unpack some of these things.
Yeah.
And when you don't get them, you end up perpetuating that hurt people cycle.
Oh, for sure. And that too is like a very important part of Chrysalis too, is that parent class. I'm telling you, this is like what you didn't know you needed. Like, I'm sitting in there like crying my whole face off, because I'm just like, I'm trying the best I can, but I feel like I'm failing. Like, why am I not able to get this parenting thing right? And then it helps you understand that you have the same struggle as this person over here and this woman over here. And all of us feel like we have to be Superwoman and do everything perfectly.
Pride is killing us. Literally, pride is killing us, because nobody wants to be that mom. So everybody is just putting these blinders on and moving about, and it takes somebody finally saying, hey, I need some help with this. Hey, I know what it says it's supposed to look like on Pinterest, but it doesn't look like that.
It's not looking like that over here.
And then 30 people go, woo, I thought it was just me.
Right. I feel like that vulnerability is like, that's why Chrysalis has been going for 6 years, because I'm able to be a safe space for other women, and even like dads too. Like, anybody who's just like, look, I don't have it all together. I'm still figuring this out, and so, but I'm trying. And we're talking about just progress, not perfection. And I'm working really, like, again, Virgo.
This is a very flawed mommy space.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay. Your imperfections are welcome here. Bring them. Because we're going to talk about how we can improve, but also talk about how you are rocking it as a mom.
Exactly. Because you're not getting everything wrong.
Right.
Your child is still alive.
They hear, they clean. Look, you even combed their hair this morning. And
I was going to say, maybe the hair was combed.
Maybe. My
Well,
baby.
I thank you. And we're going to end here. And we are definitely going to have that conversation at a later date. So, as always, I am Dr. Strong bringing you this episode of Strong Conversations. You know where to find me at Dr. Carolyn Strong on Twitter and Strong Conversations on Facebook and Carolyn Strong on LinkedIn. So, until next time, everybody have a good one.